Hello there, it's Alana Tucky, and I wanted to show you how to use your calculator in order to calculate some statistics. So let's see here. I have some data right here. This is the number of pets that various students in a classroom have. So let me bring up a calculator. And what I want to do is I want to enter all of those values in. So let me hide this just so you can see. All right, I'm going to press Stat. And in Stat, we have lots of choices. Edit is what we're going to use 99% of the time. You want to edit 99.9% of the time, quite frankly. And this is called the Statistics Editor screen. That's what this is. So it's got all your lists. That's what the L stands for. L1, L2, list 1, list 2, list 3, list 4, and so on. Now I have some old data in here that I do not want, which is as good a time as any to learn how to get rid of that. So what you do is you go up to the top with the up arrow, and you press Clear, Enter. And then go over to the left, and I'll go up and press Clear, Enter. Now my lists are empty. Now I'm going to enter the number of pets. I don't actually care about the student number. It's irrelevant, right? It was just a way of listing people. But what I care about is the number of pets they have. So student number 1 had 1. So I'd type 1, enter. Then 3, enter. 1, enter. 0, enter. 1, enter. 1, enter. 1, enter. 1, enter. You can see how this is going to go. It's going to take it a bit, but I'm going to pause and I'll be right back after I fill in all of these lovely values. So 1 second. There, all right, so the calculator is slowly filling in the values that I typed and they're going through. And one thing you can notice is that you can see that it's telling you list 1 number 32, list 1 number 33, and so on. So if you happen to have them numbered like this one was, you can tell that I did it correctly because number 33 is the blank one. If I go up, number 32 was number 2, number 31 was number 4, and so on. All right, so that's how to enter data for future reference. And don't forget, up, clear, enter to get rid of old data. Okay, so now I want to actually do a calculation. I want to compute the mean, which I've already computed here with Excel, but I want to use the calculator to do it. So let me make this, oopsie, hold on. There we go. All right, so now I want to go to Stat, and we're going to move to the right to the Calculate menu. So right now we're in the Edit menu, Stat Edit menu. So I'm going to go to the right to the Calculate menu. And in statistics courses, we're only going to use a couple of the features in here, namely number 1, which is one variable stat, and later on in chapter 4, we're going to use number 4. So let's use number 1. So since it's already on number 1, I can just press enter, or I could press 1. And then it's going to ask me, and this is the new operating system, it's saying, okay, where's your list of data? And I want to tell it I put it in L1. Right now it thinks it's in L3, and that's totally wrong. So L1, if you look at your calculator, it's above the number 1 with the little blue color on my calculator. There's L2 above the 2, L3 above the 3, and so on. So I want to hit the blue button, the second shift button, and second 1, enter. Now the frequency list is something we are going to use, but we're not going to use it for another section or two. So for right now, we're just going to leave that blank. We didn't have a frequency list in this data. And then we're going to go down to calculate and press calculate, enter. And there it was. And if the old calculator system, you could see it was there for just a second. It said one variable stat, L1. That's how you would do it on the old calculator system. This particular calculator has the new operating system. And there you can see the mean right up there, 2.3125, right there. And while I'm on the subject, do you see the little arrow here? That means that there's more down below. So it's giving us a list of information, and there's a bigger list than it can fit on a screen. So if you press the down arrow, you can go down a bit. So for example, right here, it's saying there's something above it and there's something below it. And if I go down to the very bottom, the last thing is the max. And then you can see the arrows up here saying, hey, there's stuff up here above it. And you can see right there, there's the median. MED is 2. So that's how to find both the mean and the median with the calculator. All right. And see, there's the median of 2. We found it with Excel as well. All right, so the calculator will find the mean and the median. You go to Stat, Edit, enter your data in any list you like, but generally we use L1. Then go to Stat, go to Calculate, pick number 1, one variable stat, and then tell it what list you want. If you have a frequency list, you'll tell the calculator that. If not, then don't. Most of the time we will not, and then go down to Calculate and press Enter. And no, we don't know what a frequency list is yet, but it's coming. And there they are, mean at the top, there's your X bar. And of course, it treats it like it's a sample always, because almost always calculator data that you would put in is a sample. But if it was not and it was a population, you would have to know to say mu. The calculator wouldn't know to do that. All right, so there's how to find the mean and the median with the calculator. Oops, wrong data set. While we're on the subject, let's learn a couple other things. Let me skip ahead to finding the variance and the standard deviation, which is in section 3.2. Oh, and the range. The range. So I didn't actually find the range for this data set that we have right here, but I could. So remember, the range is your highest value minus your lowest value. That's your range. So it's back here, right here. So your largest data value minus your smallest data value. So the calculator can help you with that, because the calculator tells you what your highest value is and what your lowest value is. So if you want to find the range with the calculator, you can see the max is 9, the min is 0. So the range for this data set is 9, because 9 take away 0 is 9, right? Okay, so the calculator helps you find the range. It doesn't find it directly, but it helps you find it. Oh, let's go back another thing. What about the mode? Now the mode is a little bit tricky. So the mode for our data set was 1. How could you find that? Well, mode is not anywhere in this list of variable statistics. So the calculator does not find the mode directly. Now, the calculator can help you one way, and here's how. If I press stat, if you look below the edit, do you see these two features, sort A and sort D? Sort A means sort ascending, climbing, going from low to high. And sort D means sort descending, from high to low. So what you can do is you can say, hey, I want you to sort, so I'm going to pick number 2, sort ascending, and then it's saying, okay, what do you want me to sort? And I'm going to say L1, second 1. Close my parentheses, enter. And it'll just say done. That's fine. But when I go back to my stat edit menu, you can see that my data set is now in order. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and so on. It's not great, but it at least gives me some idea of which one's the most common, because I can kind of see it as I look at it, right? I only had 1 5, I only had 3 4s, I only had 5 3s. So it's either 2 or it's 1, and I can sit there and count much more easily when they're in order like this than when they're by themselves. Okay, so it's not fabulous, but it's better than nothing. So that's how the calculator can help you find the mode. Okay. All right, so now what about the standard deviation and the variance? Well, when I run the one variable stats, right there, ta-da, it gives me this laundry list of stuff. Okay, so I found the mode sort of with the help of the calculator. I found the range definitely with the help of the calculator. This particular data set was really easy, but max minus min, the calculator gives you the max, calculator gives you the min, so it's not hard to find. Okay, on our particular data set, it was 9 for that data of pets. Now, what about the standard deviation? Okay, so I think I'll do it with this data set just so you can see how it matches up with what we had. So let me go back to my data set here. I'm going to go to Stat, Edit, and actually, just for fun, I'm going to show you what it looks like to do it in a second data set. So I'm going to pick L2. Just, yes, these are the kind of things I find fun. I never said I wasn't a nerd. Okay, so I'm going to type 61, enter. 100, enter. 60, 65. There we go. All right, so I've got the data in there. So I'm going to run stat, calculate, one variable, but this time my data is in L2 because those stats exam scores are in L2. L1 still has that pet data from that other problem. So I'm going to go down to calculate, and there was the mean of 74, which if you recall was the mean for that data set. Let me find it. There it was, right? So the mean was 74, right here, stats of 74. The range is 40, and again, the calculator can help you with that. If you go down to the bottom, you can see max is 100, min is 60, 100 minus 60 equals 40, so there's your range right there. All right, now what about the standard deviation and the variance? Okay, so you can see it finds two numbers here. See 13.968 and 13.251? That is the, oops, wrong notes. Hold on one second. There it is. 13.97 and 13.25. I'm going to bring this back up so you can see it. Those are the same values that the calculator's finding. So the SX one says, hey, that data set was a sample. If that was a sample, this is your standard deviation. And the sigma x, that's this one with little o with a little tail on it, that's sigma. It's a Greek letter S. If you're ever in Greece, that's the lowercase s for them. All right, and that means that 13.25, that's saying, hey, if those numbers you typed in were a population, then this is the standard deviation. Because remember, standard deviation is not the same for sample versus population. They are slightly different. It has to do with something called the degrees of freedom, and we will deal with that more in later chapters. All right, so the calculator has found sigma to be 13.25 and some change, and S to be 13.968 and some change, 97. All right, now what about the variance? Now the calculator doesn't find those, not directly, but it does find something else. So if it finds S, or sigma, let's start with sigma. So if it finds sigma, how could we find the variance? Well, the variance is sigma squared. So I could just type, 13.251 and square it. And I'll get 175.589, close to what the variance actually was. The variance was actually 175.6, right? And I'm right in there. Okay. Now there's another way, so let me teach you that real quick. So if you press VARS, V-A-R-S, that stands for variables. Variables. And you see number 5, statistics. Interesting. Name of the course could be useful. So let me grab that. And see number 3 and number 4? There's the standard deviation, there's the variance. Or standard deviation. One's for a sample, one's for a population. It's got the last ones that you ran stored in there. So right now it's from that stats exam data. So it thinks that sigma x is 13.251. So if I press variables, pick number 5. Oops, went too far. 5. Pick number 4, and you don't have to go down and hit enter. You can actually just press the number 4 and it'll automatically pop up. And press squared, enter. Then it's finding 175.6, which is what it actually was, 175.6. See that? So it's kept all the decimal places this way. That's the beautiful thing about this. When I type it myself and square it myself, it's okay, but I've lost a little bit of accuracy here in the hundredths place. By using the sigma x squared thing, I've kept all my decimal places of accuracy. And I can do it again with the SX one, because let's say this was a sample, not a population, which is accurate for this data. So these data, I should say. So number 5, statistics. Pick number 3, SX. It's taking the sample standard deviation now. I square it, and there we go, 195.1, which is what it was, 195.1. See it right there? Okay, so it's up to you to know whether you want to use sigma or S, depending on, was it a population? Was those 10 numbers a population? If they were, then it's sigma. That doesn't happen very often, as a giant hint, but it does happen occasionally. Or was it a sample, which is way more likely, in which case then you have to use S. The calculator gives you both. And the calculator remembers the last one it ran. So the last one it did was for that L2 data. So it has this stored in its little memory, these numbers right here. And those numbers are accessible through the variables number 5 menu. Variable statistics. It keeps those last one variable stats it ran. It actually memorizes all sorts of things. Like it knows X bar is 74. It'll know SX and sigma X. It knows N was 10 for that data, and so on. Okay? So it has in its memory all of those items. And you can use that to find things like the variance. The calculator does not directly find variance. It indirectly finds the variance by finding S and sigma, and then you have to use those to find the things that you're actually looking for, i.e. sigma squared and S squared. All right, that's how to find the mean, the median, the mode, the range, the standard deviation, and the variance, all with the calculator. I'll see you back here for more fun with statistics and the calculator.